Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear.
I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear.
That I will faithfully execute.
That I will faithfully execute.
The office of President of the United States.
The office of President of the United States.
We have been given a gift by God today to usher in a new dynasty.
Now you get RFK Jr.
Don't you want a president who's going to make America healthy again?
You get Tulsi Gabbard.
Putting our country in a continual state of war.
You get Elon Musk and you get J.D. Vance.
A hell of a way to start the next 4 years.
The right-wing Avengers.
We have an army of digital soldiers.
Department of Defense under Donald Trump will achieve peace through strength.
Shut down the FBI Hoover building on day one.
The rescission of 78 Biden-era executive actions, executive orders, presidential memoranda, and others.
The golden age of America has most definitely begun.
Begin preparing the 30,000-person migrant facility at Guantanamo Bay.
They're getting the dirtbags off these streets.
There's one guy who can fix this shit, and it's Donald Trump.
What's storm, Mr. President?
You'll find out.
Do you want the truth? The kind they try. It's not left versus right. It's a war for our minds. We built this land with sweat and grace, but they sold our birthright to a stranger's face. We just want to work to live, to be free, to raise our kids in our dignity. But every law they write, every spin takes another inch from the people again. It's us versus them, the people versus control. The flag still stands for freedom, not for gold. They can try to divide, but they can't break the sun. 'Cause this land belongs to everyone, and we'll stand as one. My friends on the other side, I feel your pain. You've been lied to too. It's the same old game. The system's broken, that much is true. But I don't hate you, brother, I stand with you. We've all been played by the hands of the few. They print our chains in red, white, and blue. But freedom ain't theirs, it's in our soul. It's the will of the people that makes us whole. It's us versus them, the strong versus the fake. The workers, the soldiers, the hearts that won't break. This land belongs to everyone, and we'll stand as one. Freedom's not a gift you're handed from a throne. It's the fire in your chest that says I stand alone. It's the farmer, the builder, the mother's cry. It's the spirit that refuses to die. They call it progress, we call it theft of the blood and sweat that our fathers left. But when the people rise, the lies are done, and we remember we're the one. It's us versus them, but love wins the fight. Truth is our weapon, and God is our light. They can chain the body, but they can't chain the sun. 'Cause this land belongs to everyone, and we'll stand as one. So raise that flag, let the stars still wave. For the land of the free and the home of the brave. We'll bow to no tyrant, we'll kneel to no crown. This is our hope, we won't back down.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. My name is Josh, and welcome to the Red Picks Daily Dose, live with you Monday through Friday. I hope everybody out there is having a fantastic day and getting back into the kick of the day. Important week. This is a Thanksgiving week, and I'm thankful for. And hello to the world of Facebook. YouTube right in front of me. I got Rumble right here. Sorry, D Live and Pilled. It's just too many chats to pay attention to, and it doesn't integrate into my software. I apologize. Rumble, I see you. I hear you. YouTube and Facebook, I see you and hear you. Welcome, everybody. And tonight, the global 4D chess game. There's some people saying there's no 4D chess. There's no 5D chess. But is there? We're going to define that. We're going to talk about that a little bit. Look into is very glitchy. Is anybody else having problems with the video? Your sound is skipping in the video. Hold on. So I want to ensure that the best quality video possible. I'm going to refresh real quick and put you guys on hold. I was having some loading problems, and I think it's because the guy right here that's at 74%. So I'm assuming that's what it is. But let me see right here and see if we're glitching out. Yes, you are breaking up. Okay, if I'm breaking up. So what I'm going to do is I was hoping to get this clip. We'll just do that. And I'm going to you guys on just a quick little pause. And I'm going to come right back in a second. And so let me see if I can find you some something to watch while I just disappear real quick and do a refresh. I'll be right back. All right, let's see if that worked. Tell me if this is better, if this resolved the problem, and if the sound is not good. I think I know what that is. Nope, the sound looks good. Everything is fine on my end. So let me know if this has resolved it. You're coming in blurry and glitchy, kind of like Joe Biden giving a speech and eating his ice cream. Weird. This is kind of interesting. I've been having low latency internet issues. I'm watching myself. Why doesn't anybody refresh? I'm watching myself right now, and everything looks fine. I'm wondering if it's the Rumble end, better on Rumble. Yes, so far. Okay, good. Okay, everybody's telling me good. Okay, so it was that problem. Okay, we're good. All right. Hope everybody's having a good week. Getting a start to your week. It's Thanksgiving week. No show on Thursday. So no show on Thursday. Friday, we got some content coming for you. We should have a conversation on the fringe. I have to double check on that. Wednesday night, absolutely a show. So we'll be absolutely doing a show on Wednesday. Tomorrow, I think, is going to be a combined show. Myself and Alpha Warrior live at this time frame. And so the Daily Dose will be me and Alpha Warrior, and we're going to go over some things. Be a pretty good show. You're going to like that. And it's going to be actually before we go into DEF CON 0. So it's going to be me and Alpha explaining something, because DEF CON is going to be like 2.5 hours, but we don't have time to talk about this other thing. So we're going to bring that other thing in. We're going to talk about that for about an hour and a half, 2 hours, and then go on to DEF CON right after that. Okay, so let's jump into here. Number one, as I was just talking about Alpha, he wrote a SUBSTACK block, Intelligence Agencies Presence on Comprehensive Examination. Definitely an article you want to read. I think that this is important to note that there's active psychological warfare operations going on. There is active intelligence operations going on. And Alpha puts this out there right now. Intelligence agencies' presence on acts of comprehensive examination of operatives, influence operations. He's been working on this for a very long time. He even built out a table of contents. It's long as hell. I'm not going to read the whole thing or go over it, but I highly recommend you go to Alpha's X page and check this out, because one thing that we're noticing right now is there's a divergence in MAGA. There is active influence campaigns right now in MAGA to divide and conquer, to separate and divide us. And we're going to talk about this a little bit tonight. Not too much in the context of who's organizing it, who's doing it, but in the other sense of why it's happening and what needs to be the resolution for that. So first thing I'm going to talk about tonight, FBI Director Kash Patel on November 21st. Dan and I sat down and walked through every aspect of the Butler investigation. We briefed POTUS on the entire case, and he was satisfied with the work and results. The FBI concludes that Trump shooter Thomas Crooks acted alone after unprecedented global investigation. Well, let me give you my thoughts on this. This is what Cash put out. I am going to call absolute bullshit. Bullshit. Now, why is this conclusion being made? Because it's about a protective mechanism. They are protecting somebody, some foreign entity, some foreign intelligence apparatus. They are protecting something or someone. What that is, Israel, the British United Kingdom, MI6, I don't know. I hope that once things do get organized, that this will come out. There's a post I'm going to go over here in a little while. It's something I wrote earlier that'll make a lot more sense. Why Cash is being forced down this angle, why Pam Bondi is being forced down that angle, or willfully participating down that angle. And something we actually talked about last night that's going to remedy a lot of this. So General Michael Flynn today, I'm certain others will have their opinions, but mine is not an opinion. It is based on hard evidence. Donald Trump should hire Sidney Powell as Attorney General immediately. I'm sorry, Pam Bondi, but this was completely avoidable. As for Comey, don't think it's over, and you know it. You committed crimes against our country. I am 100% in support of this, that we need someone like Sidney Powell in there as Attorney General who knows what to look under, where to look, and how to investigate these crimes and begin the prosecutions that are necessary against the deep state. And I think that we are actually going to get our wish with a new Attorney General and with a new Chief of Staff of the Trump administration, which is funny because I was literally talking about this last night on Q After Hours. So Elf and I were in a conversation. He played Defender of the Republic's comments on Susie Wiles. Prior to this, I was saying that, no, Susie Wiles, I think, is 2026. She's out. I think that a lot of this is optical, that what we are seeing is that there's a hidden hand behind Washington, okay? Whether it is Congress or Senate, the bureaucracy, or the executive branch, there is a hidden hand, a hidden layer that always plays a role, and that it is powerful, more powerful than the president, more powerful than the entire Congress. That hidden hand can destroy single countries. And Trump actually hinted towards this a few weeks ago when he was talking about Susie Wiles, and he says, the most powerful woman in the world, she could destroy an entire country. I can't even do that. So Marjorie Taylor Greene, we knew the fallout happened with her. Is it a fallout or is it Kefabi? I believe it's Kefabi, and I will actually bring up, so I want to bring this over here like that. Do this. Okay. Let's go over her post real quick. Listen to what she has to say. I hope this isn't the long one. No, this isn't the long one. She goes, fact check. Okay. So she's talking about this right here. Jake Sherman says a few other GOP members messaged us over the weekend. This is interesting. Okay. A few GOP members messaged us over the weekend saying that they too are considering retiring in the middle of their term. Here's one particularly exercised senior House Republican. The entire White House team is treated all members like garbage, all. And Mike Johnson has let it happen because he wanted it to happen. That is the sentiment of nearly all appropriators, authorizers, hawks, doves, rank and file. The arrogance of this White House team is off-putting to members who are run roughshod and threatened. They don't even allow little wins like announcing small grants or even responding from agencies. Not even the high profile. The regular rank and file random members are more upset than ever. Members know they are going into the minority after the midterms. More explosive early resignations are coming. It's a tinderbox. Morale has never been lower. Mike Johnson will be stripped of his gavel, and they will lose the majority before the term is out. And Marjorie Taylor Greene comes in, and she says, fact check true, but it's worse than people inside the bubble know when you talk to real Americans outside the wicked snow globe of Washington, D.C. Myself and many of my colleagues came courageously roaring in the 2025 legislation that matched the 2024 electoral mandate, only to be totally sidelined by Johnson under full obedience of the White House. Executive orders are temporary. Q memes have not obliterated the deep state. My colleagues constantly trying to pass loyalty tests instead of demanding what is right won't help Americans pay their rent or stop corporations from buying up homes, buy their groceries, provide good paying jobs, and stop foreigners with visas from stealing their jobs, stop American taxpayers from funding foreign wars and causes, or rebuild the value of the dollar. Passing effective legislation that gets signed into law permanent and actually solves Americans' problems. Now House members are switching gears into campaign mode and will be fighting for their lives. Our legislative majority has been mostly wasted. Our best shot was the first 6 to 9 months, and when Republicans likely lose the midterms, it will become total and complete political war and gridlocked once again. The Uni Party always wins no matter which way the political pendulum swings, leaving the American people empty-handed. What is the convincing message for 2026 and likely 2028? It'll be the American people asking candidates, what tangible thing have you done for me, and how did it or will it make my life better? And then actually trying to get them to vote after both parties have failed them. Serious changes are needed, and words are unconvincing. This is a staunch warning. The people must demand that certain gatekeepers be fired, roadblocks removed, and that the agenda promised is put forth. I think that we all understand this. Now, my thoughts on Marjorie Taylor Greene's departure, K-pop, 100% K-pop. Trump had some comments on this weekend. Let's listen to this real quick.
Before you had a fight with Elon Musk and you guys were able to work it out. No, I get along with everybody. We see the same thing happening between you and some. Sure, why not? I mean, I get along with everybody. Before you had a fight with Elon.
Okay, that's funny because anyways, yes, he says he gets along with everybody. He had a few other things. That's not the clip I was looking for. He had a few other things to say that I like her. She's a good lady. And we just had a disagreement. I think that MTG, Marjorie Taylor Greene, is going to come really big back in 2026. I'm not a big fan of her either, but I think that she is a patriot and someone who is aligned with the values of Trump. And I think that a lot of the KFOB right now is to release the Epstein files. I'm going to get into why the Epstein files are so critical and why the Epstein files are being suppressed and why people like Susie Wiles are pushing for that suppression and ensuring that Donald Trump does not get the information that he needs in the White House. I'll tell you the story that was told to us last night by a defender of the Republic. But the first thing that we have to understand, I think that a lot of what's happening, right now with the Trump administration is optics. And it's optics for a reason. See, in 2016, Donald Trump says, we are taking back the country and giving the power back to the people. That's a huge responsibility. Although in that time, the almost decade since 2016, are the people deserving of the power? Have the people really stepped forth to ensure that they can handle that power? And I'm not being fucking mean here. I'm trying to point in the right direction. And this was my take on it today. So I think the last year with Trump getting into the power, he's trying to show us that, hey, I am not all powerful in this position, that there are hidden hands behind the scenes that guide what the president can and cannot do, that there's a plethora of lawyers, that there's lawfare with judges, that there's Congress and Senate, there's massive hurdles put in place, that the system itself was designed this way. And there's only one way to force the system into complete change. This is the MAGA dilemma. A pattern keeps repeating. People react to political decisions without recognizing the deeper structure behind them. What do I mean? There's I saw like Ann Vandersteel and many others today, like, Trump has abandoned us. Oh my God, Trump has turned. Alex Jones is like, I can't stop supporting. I can't keep on supporting Donald Trump if he's going to continue to do this. Well, these people are missing the biggest aspect of what Trump is actually showing us. Throughout modern history, one of the most destructive forces in American politics has been the sycophantic loyalty, the blind, unquestioning allegiance that marked not only the Obama era or the Bush era, but every administration where personality eclipsed principle. This mindset is fundamentally at odds with what the founding fathers envisioned. Parties were never meant to be tribes. Republican and Democrat were never meant to override citizen judgment. A constitutional republic requires constant civic pressure, not passive agreement. Because if the people do not speak, the system will speak for them. If citizens do not assert their voice, the system asserts itself. And the American system is built to preserve its own momentum. Not because of one man, not because of one administration, but because of the two broad power structures that have evolved over decades. Number one is the political lobby. A coalition of multinational corporations, foreign interests, institutional networks, financial powers, and ideological pressure blocks. They operate with money, influence, leverage, and access. The next one is the people, the vast majority of Americans whose influence comes from participation, the only force powerful enough to counter institutional drift. For 60 plus years, one of these groups has exerted pressure relentlessly. The other has spoken loudly at moments, but rarely with sustained, unified, or strategic force. This is why people often find themselves angry at individual political figures for decisions they disagree with, yet the broader system remains unchanged. Outrage without organization becomes noise. Outrage without structure doesn't translate into pressure. Outrage without coordination cannot overcome institutional inertia. Across the political spectrum, there are citizens who express disillusionment with certain political decisions, but this raises an uncomfortable truth. Has the public allowed institutions to define their movements, their values, and even their expectations? The answer is unequivocally yes. If the public believes an issue is critical, yet there is no coordinated civic pressure, no organized campaign, no widespread collective demand, then the system continues on its own default trajectory. Institutional behavior doesn't shift because of sentiment. It shifts because of force, civic, economic, informational, and political. When a government official remains in power despite broad dissatisfaction, one explanation is structural. Institutions respond to organized influence, not scattered frustration. When certain advisors or bureaucratic actors wield more authority than expected, it reflects the gap between institutional power and civic pressure. In every administration, there are staffers, advisors, operatives who shape processes behind the scenes. Their influence grows when public oversight shrinks. Their decisions carry weight when civic pressure is absent. This phenomena is not tied to one party, it is structural. The recurring problem is not that Americans disagree with political decisions. It's that Americans often express discontent without the sustained organization that creates civic leverage. This is one area where many analysts note a clear asymmetry. The Democrats have mastered social organization, collective messaging, unified demands, coordinated action, and narrative pressure. The Republicans remain fragmented, passionate but decentralized, loud but not structurally aligned. In a republic, the system does not move because people complain. The system moves because people organize. The moment any large civic movement, left, right, or otherwise, leans to unify its voice, articulate clear expectations, and sustain pressure, the entire architecture of American power responds. It always has. People rediscover their authority the moment they recognize that silence is not neutrality, it is surrender. That should be a holy shit moment for all of us, including myself. That we've been looking at it wrong the whole time. That the majority of the MAGA base has been looking at it. We tend to default to this position that somebody else will do it. Oh, there's this organization over there that's doing that right now. Oh, you got, this news periodical, you got this platform, or you got this influencer. They're taking care of that. They're running that. But no, see, it needs to be maintained by the citizenry, by all of us. It's got to be that civic pressure flow. And a prime example of this, and I love this example because guess what? We do it so naturally. When Dick's Sporting Goods came out with their DEI agenda, when Target put an LGBTQ line out in satanic shirts, when Cracker Barrel changed their whole structural organization, Republicans from all walks of life unified in one common voice on X. And within a matter of days, defunded those stocks where they dropped well over 5 to 10%, that command structure in those organizations noticed, and they started listening to what you were saying, that the president of the United States went out there and started declaring action be taken and demands being made. And within a matter of a week or so, every single one of those organizations reversed course and realigned with the American people. Budweiser, another example. Thank you, Mary J. Budweiser, another great example. So here's the thing, is we can do it when there's a commonality of cause. But in the political landscape, there is so much psychological warfare going on, so many distractions and confusions laid on the platforms to distract you from the real cause and reason of what is happening. It's meant to divide you. It's meant to pull you away from the construct of your civic voice and make you an individual who's disgusted with the Trump administration. See, if we could all come together like we did against Budweiser, against what we did against Dick's Sporting Goods, against Cracker Barrel, against Target, we could change the structure of our government's architecture tomorrow. If we all came out in a unified voice, all Republicans, and said, hey, the problem isn't Donald Trump. The problem is Susie Wiles. The problem is Pam Bondi. They need to be fired. And we did a campaign just like we did against those corporations on X with unified voice out there, putting the pressure on Donald Trump. Guess what? Those are fireable people. Those are people that he can look at and say, you're fired, get out. Pam Bondi, you're fired, get out. And it can happen instantaneously. But see, the PSYOP is to distract you from that power. The campaign, the influence operations are to keep those people in place. Why? Defender of the Republic shared a story last night in an interview with Alpha that we played the clip of on Q After Hours. The story was really simple. It was during the Big Beautiful Bill and how Donald Trump was very adamant of all congressmen vote for this bill. You will vote for this bill is what he said. And we didn't know the numbers exactly, but during the final vote, there was like 13 or so holdouts in the Republican Party. And Trump called them up individually and said, what the hell is going on? I told you to vote for this bill. And they said, they changed the bill, sir. It's not the bill that you approved. They changed the bill. Didn't you get the memo that we sent you? And every single one of them said the same thing. The memo was sent through Mike Johnson. It went to a staffer of Susie Wiles, and Susie Wiles never gave it to Donald Trump. Now, you got to imagine Donald Trump being told that and saying, I never received any memo. Susie, did I receive a memo? Oh, yeah, Mr. President, I'm sorry. I forgot to give it to you. That's withholding pertinent information, intelligence from the President of the United States. That is exactly what we saw during the first term, which means that I don't give a shit if Susie Wiles is the biggest patriot in the world, loves this country. She needs to fucking go. She needs to be fucking fired tomorrow. Now, I think that the Trump administration, or Trump in his inner circle, I think he realizes this. I think he knows this. We talked about this last night. What did we find out today? I love this. This is, I mean, it's all like, I don't want to say that Trump was watching the show last night, but it's almost like Trump was listening to the show last night and listened to our disgust. Senior White House aides and cabinet heads are bracing for a major personnel shakeup as insiders tell me, this is Paul Sperry, that POTUS is growing increasingly unhappy with economic messaging Among other things, shakeup could include a new chief of staff in the new year. The chief of staff is Susie Wiles. Rumor is also circulating that Pam Bondi is going to be let go. Why is this happening? Well, number one is you have General Flynn. You have General Flynn out there saying it's time to get rid of Susie Wiles. It's time to get rid of Pam Bondi. They are not doing the job that you put them in the place to do. Get rid of them. We know Pam Bondi is helping to cover up the Epstein files. Pam Bondi, back in March of 2025, I have the Epstein files on my desk. I watched a horrific video of CP. I told you from our insider who was there that said that video, that CP child porn video, was of a acting U.S. Senator, Democrat. And I said that that senator will not be seeking re-election, will be resigning very shortly. And then sure enough, 2 weeks later, you have one of the most experienced Democrat senators, Dick Durbin, announce his retirement. Pam Bondi has the information. They have the compromise. But then they came out and said, oh, it's nothing burger. It's a nothing burger. And they convinced Trump that it was a nothing burger. They convinced Trump. And you know what I think they did to Trump? I think that Susie Wiles and Pam Bondi went to Donald Trump and said, hey, your name is in there. There's information in there that's compromising to you. And it's most likely Democrat operation, but your name's in there. And so he's like, oh, I don't want anything to do with that. That's going to ruin everything that we're working for. He knows he's not in there. He knows what's going on. He understands what's happening, but he's playing optically. And optically, he's got to play this game. He's got to show you, the American people, that your power rules and reigns above all, that he is one man in the position to do what you put him in power to do. But if you do not express your power, your will, your authority, your unified voice, your civic duty, then he's got to default to the beast, the machine, the system that is put in place, and the process flow that it goes about with. Now, Susie Wiles will be removed. I do believe that this is going to happen. I do believe that we have enough voices right now in this movement to get Susie Wiles out of the way. Now, who will be her replacement? Well, you remember a few months ago, Trump announced that Dan Scavino is going to be coming in to head the staffing of the executive branch. Do you understand that there's a reason why Dan Scavino was put in that place? See, the chief of staff, what they are is they're a networker and relationship builder. They have relationships with everybody in all of the executive branch and all the legislative branch. They go out there, they make the connections. I mean, people want to get to Donald Trump, they got to contact the chief of staff. This person needs to have direct contact with everybody within the executive branch so information can flow up through one secured channel to the president so he can have the best information possible. Dan Scavino over the last few months has been in that position, putting new people in the place all throughout the executive branch. He's been making relationships with all the heads of these departments. Why? Because I believe Dan Scavino is going to be the next chief of staff to Donald Trump. I believe that Susie Wiles will be kicked out, and I believe Dan Scavino is going to be coming in. What does that mean? I think that that was the plan all along. I believe that it was the plan to make people so pissed off that Trump isn't doing what we elected him to do. And the reason he isn't is because he won the election and we went, oh, grab some popcorn. Woo! It's time to just sit back and watch it happen. That's not how this country works. That's not a republic, people. That's not how the republic works. And why is there this direct attack on the Q community? Because a lot within the Q community, that's what they believe. They believe it's all kayfabe. Oh, they believe that it's all been done and that these people are already executed, the trials have already happened, and that it's all just one big movie script. They can sit back with their feet up and eat their popcorn. That is a load of bullshit. One of the best examples of that is what just happened with the James Comey and Letitia James case. A judge comes in there, throws it out without prejudice, which is good. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. But understand, this is moves and counter moves. This is game theory. This is war. And there's so much more integrated to all of this, that everything we're going to talk tonight is one common grand conspiracy. Everything from FISAgate prior, everything from FISAgate after, everything we're going to talk about, the reason the military's in Venezuela, the reason for the tariffs, the reason for trade negotiation, renegotiating the world, the reason for the dismantling of BRICS and the Belt and Roads Initiative. All of this is for a reason, a specific reason. So when we begin to look at the grand scheme of things, Donald Trump had to get your attention. And I think he got a lot of MAGA's attention. But instead of MAGA reacting with, hey, Trump, instead of MAGA going out there and saying, hey, we need to unite in MAGA for the common good. We need to bring people together and press and push for this. The Epstein Files is a great example. Relentless pursuit. We've been relentless on our message out there. Release the Epstein Files, release the Epstein Files. And what happened? Congress passed the damn bill. Trump signed it into law. But you still have a gatekeeper, Pam Bondi. And there's some things that aren't going to be released because it's a threat to national security. We all know this. I've laid this out for months. But we got them released. Well, how do we do that? Relentless pursuit. I'm going to save this post for the end. That post it's a pretty important post, but it's just not fitting where we are right now. All right. This is fantastic. So, if you remember, shortly after the 2024 election, Alpha and I did an interview called Checkmate with Patrick Byrne. Okay? And for anybody out there that's wondering, I want to pull this up there so you guys can go check it out. This is the episode with Patrick Byrne, okay? Checkmate with Patrick Byrne. Now, I wonder if I can find so the reason why my stuff was like all lagging is because I was uploading this to make a clip, and the specific clip of when Patrick Byrne says something. Hold on. Let's see if we can find this clip. That's what they were doing, and it's gave them immense amounts of power, but now the tides are turning, aren't they?
And I'll even tell you, I've been keep biting my tongue on some things, but I guess it doesn't matter. There's a Newsweek story about how Venezuela has a $25 million bounty on my head.
This is crazy. This was the clip I was looking for, and I literally just clicked at that point on the video, and we landed right on it.
This is why they figured I was actually thrown out of one country. I won't tell you which country, but I set up let's say a cyber operation to go after Venezuela. And back about a year and a half ago, I was thrown out of one country where they said, and I'm a very professional cyber operation and multinational hackers in different places. I'm very well known in the blockchain community, so it was very easy to find hackers and put together something and pay for it under the table to go up against Venezuela. And I was thrown out of one country, and the prime minister, one day I got a call from the lobby of the hotel. The personal attorney of the prime minister was in the lobby, and he came and he wanted to meet me, and he came up, and I said, "What's up?" He said, "Mr. Byrne, the government has become aware of what you're really doing in our nation, and we're not going to arrest you because we think you might be right, but you can't do this from our soil, and you have 24 hours to leave or we will arrest you. And the prime minister wants me to tell you that our analysis is that you are conducting 4 or 5 major international felonies, and the government of Venezuela is going to take the position that you personally have conducted an act of war against them." And that was 18 months ago. They're really angry now because their election didn't go as they expected. And July 28th of this year didn't go quite as they expected. And they seem to they were down 80-20. But their system was that they knew they were going to have 7 million votes against them and 2 million for them, but they were just going to stuff 5.5 million votes. Well, then they have a system that they can stuff ballots with. It seems to have broken on them on election day. And they apparently think I know something about this. And about 2 weeks later, they came out and they put a $25 million bounty on my head.
Oh, God.
I got some fun stories, but they don't get nowhere near the ballpark of a country coming after you.
They don't.
Before we get too far from it, Patrick, I want to ask you a question. So back to when you gave them that first disclosure, which just had to do with like the drugs and.
So there's more to this because Patrick then says something else here. And I want to find this spot. And this is a hell of an interview if you have not watched it.
Or you at least give that a try. The truth all has to come out. Secondly, the other issue is before we get to that issue, is do we make it 60 days? Clear.
So he's talking about Trump coming in. This is after the election. And there's a part here that I want you to listen to. And I'm looking at the closed caption at the bottom. Give me a second here because we're going to find it. And this is going to be mind-blowing if you have not watched this. But that first part is so important because what Patrick tells you next is exactly what's being reported on right now. This is something that Alpha and I have known for the last year. And I should just make you guys go watch it. Anyway, so Patrick goes in and he starts talking about the 2024 election. And he goes, you remember how I told you I ran the cyber operation in Venezuela? Well, that was actually the pre-run for the 2024 U.S. election. And he says, me and General Flynn, we ran an op and we stopped the cheating from the 2024 election. Now, that's really interesting. Well, guess what? It's all coming out right now. Emerald Robinson has been reporting on this, telling the story. And so if you go down here, it's kind of disconnected. It's not directly associated. She says a few weeks before the 2024 election, Senator Mullen and former Senator David Perdue finally arranged a meeting between Trump advisor Susie Wiles and one man that could explain exactly how America's election systems are rigged. The meeting took place at Mar-a-Lago. Susie Wiles had publicly said that the election fraud was not real and that people who thought that were crazy. After the briefing, she didn't know what to think. Well, she knew exactly what to think. She asked for a piece of the cake, ate it slowly. Then she made the decision. Trump's team should be briefed too. In the end, the man stayed at Mar-a-Lago for 3 days to brief everyone. There was only one man who Wiles trusted to confirm it, Elon Musk. The call was made. The man found himself in a room with Elon Musk. Musk declined to sit through the full briefing. He said, just give me your data. So Elon Musk read the AI summary of the technical data, and then he picked up his phone and made a call. We have a problem. It's true. Then Musk got on a plane to host a Trump rally in Pennsylvania. It was October 17th, 2024. Musk got on stage and attacked Dominion. Elon Musk said at the rally, there's always the question of Dominion voting machines. It's weird that they're used in Philadelphia, Maricopa County, but not in a lot of other places. Doesn't that seem like a heck of a coincidence? Musk was warning us the system is rigged. How could the 2024 steal be stopped a few weeks before the election? The man who briefed Musk had a team, Patrick Byrne and Gary Bernstein. This team had recruited a dozen people who knew how the rigged system was built in Venezuela. They had worked for Smartmatic and Maduro. The group of whistleblowers were hiding in a hotel in Goss, Switzerland before the 2024 election. That's where General Flynn flew to see them. Flynn asked, how long has election fraud been going on? They said Venezuela now rigged it in 72 countries for the last 20 years. The whistleblower from Venezuela had a video meeting with Musk's team and Trump's team to explain the technical details of the election fraud. The most important detail, the Dominion IP addresses had been located. All it cost, $15 in Bitcoin from an anonymous Japanese account, the same account that we learned about from the 2020 election steal. The relevant data and IP addresses were now verified. That's when Senator Mullen came to the rescue again. A cybersecurity team got the data. 3 days before the 2024 election, the Dominion office in Serbia was hit. Their computers were useless. On election day, nobody knew if the cybersecurity team had been successful knocking out the Serbian computers. Everybody at Mar-a-Lago had to wait for the results without certainty. The man who had briefed Musk flew to Oslo that day. His team would flee the USA if they failed. Imagine the moment on election day. Trump had no idea if he would win, so Patrick Byrne watched results from Qatar. Gary Bernstein watched from Switzerland. All of them would be hunted down if the 2024 election fraud was successful, and the USA would be finished. Trump was upset with his own staff after Elon Musk verified the fraud was real. He'd been gaslit for 4 years by his team to drop the topic. In fact, his half hired a Cuban intelligence asset in 2020 to investigate the fraud, to lie to Trump that our elections were fair. That's huge. So that's the last update that we have on it, but we do have some more information. If you have not listened to the Lara Logan interview, I highly recommend you watch that. Are we glitching again, or is that from earlier? I want to know if you guys, if we're still glitching. And I will post that interview with Patrick Byrne, myself, and Alpha right now. Those links are going out in the respective chats. Don't go watch it now. You got to finish this show first. Okay, so Glenna Zabi, if you were watching the beginning of the show, I would recommend refreshing because we did fix it. So no glitches. Good. We're good to go. All right. So CIA analyst Michael Schur, PhD, the CIA toppled the United States government on Conspiracy Day, November 3rd, 2020, live on national TV. CIA operations officer Gary Bernstein, the plan this. It's meticulous. It's meticulous. These guys are experts at this. This is not just a few guys in a back room. You are talking about hundreds of statisticians and engineers, and they work it, for a year to plan the mathematicians and hackers. Dominion deleted 2.7 million Trump votes nationwide. Data analysis finds 221,000 Pennsylvania votes switched from President Trump to Biden. 941,000 Trump votes deleted. States using Dominion voting systems switched 435 votes from Trump to Biden. Let's listen to this.
Got to ask you, do you believe votes were manipulated, changed electronically in favor of Joe Biden? And if so, how was it done?
Well, I certainly do believe it, sir, because I saw it on TV on the crawls underneath television coverage of the election. At least two cases. One had about 12,000 votes that magically went from Trump to Biden. And another one about 20,000 votes. And both times, Trump's numbers decreased by exactly the number that Biden's increased. And so before any of this came about, I just had a strong inkling that something was afoot here. And the more they suggest that the intelligence service, our intelligence service, were involved in it, I tend to think that there probably was a great deal of vote marking by people when they found out how many votes they needed to surpass Trump in places like Pennsylvania and Michigan. I think clearly the Dominion company, if nothing else, it's foreign interference in an American election. It's a Canadian company. And it was storing its records in Germany and Spain for some reason.
Michael, who was behind this then?
Certainly appear to be part of the Central Intelligence Agency, using for their political operations overseas. They use servers and store materials and do other things. And the fact that the ones in Germany were held or grabbed by U.S. forces because they were CIA servers. And in Europe, the CIA operates under the jurisdiction of the military. And so the military was responsible for seizing those with the help of the German authorities. And those servers are now in the hands of the FBI, which doesn't make me very comfortable, but at least they're in American hands.
Okay.
Got to ask.
So there's another video we're going to watch right after this. Now, a few months back, we discussed John Solomon coming out and mentioning grand juries being impaneled. New York, Pennsylvania, Virginia, and Florida. We know about Virginia. We know about Florida. The one that was questionable was Pennsylvania. From what I am gathering, that grand jury that is being impaneled in Pennsylvania is this information, is about this specifically. Now, are we going to have to wait for Pam Bondi to be replaced before we get some movement on this? I hope not. I hope she does the right thing, but I'm skeptical. I don't know about this woman so much because she has impeded Trump almost the whole way through all of this. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is if you are on Rumble, we do have to pay a few bills, as Alpha likes to say. And so if you like this ad and you want to go out and support this ad and support us with this ad, you got to go on over to Rumble and you'll see the links over there. But we're going to go ahead and play this one. Let's be clear, cryptocurrency is no longer emerging. It's here. And this latest move cements that reality in the biggest way yet. Trump Media Group just inked a massive $6.4 billion deal with Crypto.com, the world's top crypto platform. They're teaming up to scoop up $6.4 billion in CRO, the powerhouse token that fuels fast, low-fee DeFi, staking rewards, and real-world perks like cashback on your spends to launch America's first CRO treasury. When it's done, this new company will be the biggest CRO holder out there. Want in on the action? Head to Crypto.com today and grab some CRO. Let's make crypto great again. Appreciate that. And see, that was painless, people. Painless. All right, let's get back into it and go to this next video. And this is, let me pull this up. And this is Gary Bernstein, the one that we were just talking about there. Listen to what he says here.
They know where they can find the dead people that they need to get certain votes. They plan this, as Gary said before.
It's meticulous.
It's meticulous. These guys are experts at this. It's not just a few guys in a back room. You're talking about hundreds of statisticians and engineers, and they work it, for a year.
And mathematicians
right.
and hackers.
Right.
We had a map out of Colorado when we were talking to our engineers, the guys that designed it and stole the elections. And we looked at it and we said, look, it's Denver here and Colorado Springs, all the Democrats, they said, and they looked at us in pity,
Yeah.
Like, you guys they said, no, we just go to every one place where Trump wins 70-30 and he's winning 68, or we shave in every other place. We don't go near a Democratic place because when they want to do recounts, they're going to go to the Democratic places. They don't realize we shaved in every other committee. We know every other county. We know how to do this. And then in each of those things where they shave with a different technique in each one of those. So if you found something in one county, there's no continuity around the state that way.
So this is why the Republicans are so much at fault, because they have the power and the ability to show in their areas they can allow access to the machines, they can allow access to the source code, they can allow the.
But they thought we just won by 35%. Okay, we didn't win by 38.
Yeah.
We won by 35, so no one's going to call to. They should have, right?
Because everyone says, well, we expected the Republicans to win by a majority. Well, it was a little less than we thought it was going to be, but they still won, so, no harm, no foul. But the evidence of the fraud is right there, and they could show it.
They never looked at it.
They never looked at it. And who was behind it? Some very, very powerful figures. They go on to talk about the Cartel de Sols, the Cartel of the Suns. And by the way, it's a military operational cartel. In Venezuela, the generals in the military have suns, not stars. Cartel de Sols. Maduro is the head of that cartel. In Venezuela, they tell us that there are powerful people worth hundreds of billions of dollars to accumulate to $2.7 trillion of net worth within the Cartel de Sols. That's huge. Retired Venezuelan generals are telling Maduro it's time to leave. A powerful group of ex-military leaders say the regime has lost all moral and political ground and is dragging the country towards a disaster just to stay in power. What happened today? Trump administration designates the Cartel de los Sols, comprised of high-ranking Venezuelan military and government officials, a foreign terrorist organization. Go back to what we've been talking about here. If you go back months, we said that we got the authorized use of military force, the 2001 AUMF. We have the various other mandates, the War Powers Act. We have the Insurrection Act, which hasn't happened yet. These are the legal framework that the Trump administration is utilizing to target the cartels in international waters. And we've been saying that, yes, there's operations running clandestinely within these areas, but before a ground invasion comes about, you're going to see that the Maduro regime is going to be labeled a foreign terrorist organization. And this is going to give them authorization under the AUMF 2001 to begin airstrikes. And now we just saw this come into play today. And we have a massive military presence in the Caribbean over that area. So it wasn't only the Cartel de Sols that he labeled a foreign intelligence or a foreign terrorist organization. By the stroke of the pen, President Trump officially ordered Marco Rubio and Scott Bessent to designate the Muslim Brotherhood as a foreign terrorist organization. Now, many people are probably watching that going, they're completely unrelated. There is no relation to any of this to anybody. But I want to lay some shit out here because this is so critically important to pull all this together. Muslim Brotherhood, CARE, Mamdani, George Soros, Venezuela, China, Middle East terrorist organizations. This is all the same international criminal syndicate. So you remember the other day. So one of the things that a lot of these FAGA or these people that are turning on Trump are saying is that Donald Trump met with Mamdani in the White House and he was shaking his hand and smiling at him and saying, "I wish you the best." How dare Donald Trump? The fuck? What do you think Donald Trump's going to go in there and berate him in national television? Going to make enemies. Let's understand that Mamdani and Trump had a behind the door private conversation before coming out to the public. Mamdani looked very humbled when he got done talking to Trump. And there's a reason for that. Let's break it down real quick because we got to pull all this together. Muslim Brotherhood, CAIR, C-A-I-R. You'll understand that in a second. And then the connections between that, George Soros, and then Venezuela, Smartmatic, Dominion, Chinese money, USAID. This is fucking going to be good. I hope I can pull all this together. Remember, the objective is to come full loop, okay? So let's pull up the first breakdown. And some of these are some old breakdowns that I've done. And so you might recognize them. The Muslim Brotherhood declared a terrorist organization. CARE is up next. The Trump administration officially designated the Muslim Brotherhood a terrorist organization today. Now, if you go back to Q14, this is one of the lines on the post that was saying, check off the box. Antifa first, Muslim Brotherhood second. Worth noting, Texas already designated both the Muslim Brotherhood and CARE as terrorist organizations just a week ago. CARE isn't officially the Muslim Brotherhood, but its founders came from the same IAP network the DOJ identified as part of the Brotherhood's Palestine Committee during the HLF trial. And while CARE denies affiliation, federal court filings from the Holy Land Foundation case showed their founders came from the same Hamas, Muslim Brotherhood-linked Palestine Committee. Hamas, important note there. Remember that. If Trump is serious about dismantling foreign influence operations, the next logical step is addressing these legacy associations. Why is this so relevant? In Texas, the proclamation refers to CARE as a successor organization to the Muslim Brotherhood. People in MAGA are angry that Trump met with Mamdani last week and just smiled and said he was happy to work together. Most people don't understand Trump's mentality. It's strategic. It's methodical. Mamdani raised a significant amount of money from Unity and Justice Fund, a political action campaign linked to the Council of American Islamic Relations, CARE. Linda Sarsour, we played this clip 2 weeks ago, and other media outlets proclaimed this to be the CARE Super PAC, or its political arm for CARE Action, which was just declared a terrorist organization with the Muslim Brotherhood in Texas with direct links, copying the money directly over and the leadership directly over. The association and links of money movement are clear. The Muslim Brotherhood and CARE are associated through money and leadership channels. With that being said, Trump turned over the first stone by declaring the Muslim Brotherhood a terrorist organization. This opens the door for the DOJ to investigate the money channels and, in a sense, removes Mamdani's money machine, which gives Trump immense leverage over Mamdani, as well the potential for criminal investigation. So when Mamdani left the White House, Mamdani is on a trial period with Donald Trump of fuck around and find out. Does it make sense now? Why Trump invited him to the White House? What Trump told him behind closed doors? Why Trump just named the Muslim Brotherhood a terrorist organization, and CARE is next? Why Texas did it 2 weeks ago on, I think it was actually the same day that Mamdani visited the White House. It's a hell of a chess move. And so people out there saying that Trump isn't playing 4D chess, that is fucking 4D chess right there. Now, I said this is all interconnected. I have a post out there. It's on X. If you can go out there and share this, this is a little bit older. It's Watch the Water. Venezuela, China, Iran, and cartels. Proxy war begins. For over a decade, U.S. intel and congressional testimony warned the Isla Margarita, Venezuela, Hezbollah, and Hamas training hub. IRGC ties, Venezuelan officers trained in Iran. Wait, the Muslim Brotherhood is from the Palestinian Authority, which is the configuration of Hamas. Hamas has been organizing and training in the Isla Margarita in Venezuela. Oh, Muslim Brotherhood was just declared a foreign terrorist organization on the same day that the Cartel de Sols was declared a foreign terrorist organization. The timing is not like, oh, it's just two separate things. No. There's a reason for all this. It's all coming to a head. Testimony, 2001 to president, flagged the island as a safe haven for terror finance, smuggling, and covert operation. Todd Bensman more recently testified that Hezbollah-linked actors crossing the Texas border, Hezbollah and Hamas cells embedded in duty-free zones throughout the United States, and this is in blue sanctuary cities, training hubs and networks. Isla Margarita, Hezbollah enclave, financial and operational cover for Hamas, Al-Qaeda, Taliban, Falcon and Zulia states, corridor ties to narcotics and regular warfare. This is the headquarters of Cartel de Solos. The tri-border, Paraguay, Argentina, Brazil, longtime Hezbollah presence. Caracas, Damascus, Tehran flights, Terra abridged, used for movement of operatives. Now the bigger picture, China steps in, billions in loans and military hardware to Caracas. fentanyl drug smuggling operations, influence in Venezuela's ports and infrastructure, strategic foothold in the Caribbean, just miles from U.S. shipping lanes. Open source chatter of Chinese nuclear submarines in Venezuelan waters, the convergence of Iran's proxies plus Chinese naval reach. Venezuela's regime makes the Caribbean the new proxy against China-Iranian terrorism. Over 4 years, the Biden administration, 23 plus illegal immigrants have crossed the U.S. southern border. Among them, Latin American cartels and gangs, some reportedly trained in militant camps tied to Venezuela and IRGC networks. Hamas, Hezbollah, Unit 910, IRGC, Middle Eastern terror-flanked operatives, ISIS, Hezbollah, Houthis, Hamas, Taliban. The question, how did they get there? Venezuela is a hub. Migrants funneled through Maduro's system, entering the Darien Gap corridor northward. The Central American cartels would guide the routes to the U.S. border through Mexico. China as the enabler, supplying planes and shipping routes to move foreign nationals into Venezuela. Chinese nationals, hundreds of thousands, possibly millions of military-age males also crossed via New Mexico and California, all dispersed into the United States sanctuary cities and states. This isn't random migration. It's cartels, terror networks, state actors weaponizing mass movements as preemptive setup for a much greater plan. Trump's actions over the course of the last year have been to counter these movements and neutralize them. We have entered the fuck around and find out period of Trump's plan. I pay attention to these areas. And this is Falcon military installation. And this is the Isla Margarita right there. Now go back to what we just talked about. The Muslim Brotherhood has been declared a foreign terrorist organization. The Cartels de Solis has been declared a foreign terrorist organization. Looking at those two, you don't see any connectivity until you go in and understand the deep, rich history of Venezuela's connection to China and to Middle Eastern terrorism, specifically Iran, Houthis, Hamas, and Hezbollah. Now, this is where we go back into what we just talked about, right? CARE isn't officially the Muslim Brotherhood, but its founders came out of the same IAP network the DOJ identified as part of the Brotherhood's Palestine Committee during the HFLF trial. While CARE denies affiliation, federal court filings from the Holy Land Foundation case showed their founders came from the same Hamas Muslim Brotherhood linked Palestine Committee. Now, let's get into this. Another post that I put out there on X a few months back. I love how this all just comes together. FISA-gate and 2020 election fraud, because this is what we just started with. We started with 2020 and the 2024 election fraud, that the story is now being told. Newly declassified Durham Annex docs reveal Lenny Bernardo, the Open Society Foundation's Soros Senior Vice President, and Jeffrey Goldstein held confidential talks with DNC Clinton campaign leaders, including Debbie Wasserman Schultz. Strategy: discredit Trump via Russian collusion, distract from Hillary's email scandal. The plan: Hillary Clinton approved the narrative push, conceived by advisor Julianne Smith, to frame Trump with Russian hacking and espionage via CrowdStrike, Threat Connect, and media outlets, urging the FBI to add oil to the fire. Open Society Foundations. This is George Soros. The Nexus, Leonardo Bernardo, Open Society Foundation Senior VP, ex-Eurasia Director, shaping ideological discourse globally. Durham concludes emails show a plan to manipulate public opinion using disinformation ops to influence election. Julianne Smith, Clinton Foreign Policy Advisor, coordinated with the Open Society Foundation leadership on Russian narrative strategy. Durham. Smith played a role orchestrating campaign messaging. This is where you start to see what the hell is really going on. Lord Mark Malloch Brown, ex-British diplomat, UN deputy, SG, World Bank executive, Clinton Foundation partner. Right here. Smartmatic chairman, 2014 to 2020, Open Society Foundation global board member. Overlapping leadership links Soros' network to election tech infrastructure, links it directly back to Hamas, Muslim Brotherhood, CARE, Venezuela, Cartel de Sols. Do you see where this is all going? Post-2016 election infrastructure bill, 2016 to 2018, Open Society Foundation Fund, Secretary of State project, AG races in Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Nevada, Arizona, positioning election overseers. 2018 to 2020, Soros-linked PAX Fund, Mark Elias, democracy docket lawsuit to expand mail-in voting, loosen verification, judicial capture, Soros-backed AGs, judges preside over 2020 disputes, blocking audits and challenges. The COVID trigger, emergency rule change, mass mail-in ballots. Now, that's important to note because the states that these changes happened in were Nevada, Arizona, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Georgia. Why were those so critical? Those were the swing states that determined the 2020 election, but they were also the states that George Soros's foundation focused on primarily for the attorney generals and the secretary of states in the 2018 midterms. Why? Because in order to make that change during the 2020 election, which was later deemed unconstitutional by the majority of the Supreme Courts in those states, you needed the Secretary of State to initiate it, the Attorney General to approve it. The Supreme Court later ruled that that was unconstitutional. I had to go to Congress before you can, the state legislature, before you can change those laws and rules. But they did it in the heat of the moment during COVID, during a national emergency. As in 2018, this shows preemptive positioning by the Soros team for 2020, knowing that COVID-19 was coming or some type of emergency was coming that would allow them to utilize those positions that they secured in 2018. Zuckerberg, CTCL injects $400 million in urban centers, ballot drop boxes, navigators, bulk mail ballots, mailouts. NGOs, Vote at Home, Rock the Vote, CCD built ballot collection network. Chain of custody failures, bulk drop-offs in Georgia, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Arizona, documented on surveillance. Relaxed verification but restricted observers equals harvested ballots counted unchecked. Foreign interference, China, declassified FBI report, September 25th, 2020. CCP linked plot to mass-produce fake U.S. driver's licenses. Feed fraudulent mail-in ballots for Biden. Align with states where ID checks loosened or waived under COVID rules. Fake IDs plus ballot harvesting network. Illegitimate ballots entered the system with little risk or detection. Outcome: a coordinated influence operation spanning narrative warfare, 2016 to 2020, judicial administrative control, ballot harvesting operations, foreign interference channels. It was a coup, treason, collusion. It spans from Obama, Clinton, to Soros, to China, to Venezuela. So what you are seeing come out now and happen now, number one, happened through executive order of the Trump administration, why the military is building up in Venezuela, why the Cartel de Soles is deemed a foreign terrorist organization, why the Muslim Brotherhood is the first part. CARE is going to be the next part because Texas already did this. Trump is going to follow suit on that. And why they've already investigating the black money, the dark money channels of George Soros is because this is all interconnected. Let me give you a little hint. You remember when Elon Musk came in with Doge? Many people are saying that they wanted the IRS and the USAID and the Treasury information because they were trying to steal our data and put it into an AI, a big database, but that wasn't true. The reason why he needed the financial information is to understand how U.S. taxpayer dollars were being funneled through USAID to various organizations that were funding all of this, like the $6.9 billion over a 10-year period from USAID to an NGO called the CEPS, a Soros NGO called SEPS. Soros NGO called SEPS. They were the marketing arm for Smartmatic and Dominion Software. And who was the leader of that NGO? Lord Mark Malloch Brown. It's like it all comes together. So USAID was given $690 billion a year for a 10-year span to a Soros-led Lord Malloch Brown organization that was marketing to the states the software Dominion Smartmatic that were stealing the elections. And it was taxpayer funded. At the same time, USAID money, taxpayer money, was flowing to other Soros organizations that funded BLM, Black Lives Matter, LGBTQ movements, the trans movements. what does Epstein have to do with any of this? Well, actually a lot. So that's what's happening right now. This is why we're probably getting in the position to strike Venezuela, to take out the Cartel del Sols, to take out the money makers that are in Venezuela, and to basically transfer the resources of Venezuela. I don't think the ExxonMobil, but back to the people of Venezuela. To remove Maduro. Maybe Maduro, maybe not. I don't know. It depends on how he plays out. I don't think Machado's any better, but we're going to see how that plays out. But Trump is waging war. This is right before the midterms. There's a reason for this. And I think a lot we're seeing with MTG and Congress is also KFOP, but we can get into that to another time. Because I'm at an hour and 15 minutes. I'm 15 minutes over, but we got a lot more to go through. I'm only halfway through the show. So let's see how much more we can get through. I at least want to get through the Epstein stuff tonight. So the U.S. Justice Department has asked 2 judges in the Southern District of New York to authorize the release of grand jury material from the prosecution of Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. That happened today. Another, President Trump and AG Bondi just asked a federal court in Florida to release Epstein transcripts that are currently sealed. The filing comes barely 2 days after Trump signed the Epstein Files Transparency Act. So New York and Florida, grand jury information is about to be released pertaining to Epstein. What are you going to find out? Hopefully we find out the meat and potatoes. I'm skeptical. We will see. This is interesting. Greg Kelly goes into the Jeffrey Epstein documents that reveals Biden's CIA director went to Epstein's home for a meeting after he was convicted of sex crimes. Epstein's private calendar reveals prominent names. William Burns, Central Intelligence Agency director since 2021 under Joe Biden, had 3 meetings scheduled with Epstein in 2014 while he was Deputy Secretary of State. The documents show they first met in Washington, and then Mr. Burns visited Epstein's townhouse in Manhattan. How about that one? What the fuck would he be going there for? Because Epstein was an intelligence operative who was losing control over his system and was being utilized for other things. As in, his intelligence and compromise was being absorbed into the Obama network. Today, obviously, Judge Curry, a Clinton appointee, dismissed cases against James Comey and Letitia James without prejudice. Without prejudice means that the DOJ can refile the cases. There's a few problems with this. They're claiming that Lindsay Halligan was not properly the attorney general at the time, or the U.S. attorney at the time. Although there's a statute of limitations that ended on September 30th on Comey's case, this will be appealed, and Trump administration will most likely win this appeal. So don't expect this to be going away. Bill and Hillary Clinton are officially scheduled to testify about Jeffrey Epstein in December. Bill Clinton on December 17th. Hillary on the 18th. The Epstein Files, Intelligence, Biogenetics, and Control. All right. Not what I wanted to do. There we go. So I wrote a blog. If you didn't know, it looks like that. The link is right there. If you want to go check this blog out, it's free for everybody to read. Right there, redpillproject.substack.com. It's about Jeffrey Epstein. And to give you an idea of how much information is really here, let me pull up the blog for you. This is the one I've been telling you for weeks that I've been building, okay? I've been telling you I've been working on something for quite a few weeks. That's why I haven't posted much. But this is a long-ass fucking blog. And it just keeps going and 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 going. And there's a reason for this. But you can't tell the story of Jeffrey Epstein without telling the story of what Jeffrey Epstein was doing and why it was so imperative to cover up Jeffrey Epstein. Okay? Now, this goes into Operation Underworld, Operation Mongoose. If you don't know what those are, The corroboration with the CIA, Central Intelligence Agency, after World War II, with the mobs for the control of the ports. Secondarily, utilizing those same mob connections in Cuba, Operation Mongoose, to try to overthrow Castro, the Bay of Pigs, JFK assassination. All of this is relevant to understand the infrastructure that was built out by the deep state intelligence apparatus over a long period of time, how those systems of trust were broken, how that system then funded itself afterwards, how Jeffrey Epstein fits in that as a middle management position of basically managing relationships and money and moving dark money from illicit activities into legitimate investments that allowed the funding of CIA-backed or intelligence-backed operations. That's what this is all about. And it's so critically important because it shows how the deep state intelligence apparatus actually works. redpillproject.substack.com. Check that out. Subscribe over there if you can. Okay, I'm going to read a part of this post that's really going to lay it home for you. Okay? For years, the public has been told that the secrecy surrounding the Epstein files is meant to protect a handful of wealthy predators, a few billionaires, a few politicians, and a few celebrities with compromised reputations. This narrative is a comforting illusion. It implies that the rot is narrow, surgical, and containable. In truth, the files are sealed for a far more profound reason. They do not merely implicate individuals. They expose the existence of a global architecture, a hybrid intelligence corporate criminal system that predates Epstein, but empowered him and continues to operate. That's the part to understand. Long after Epstein's disappearance. If the full contents of the Epstein network were ever disclosed, the public would see that intelligence agencies around the world have long used human trafficking, sexual blackmail, illicit procurement networks as tools for political leverage. They would see how global banks laundered the system's money, how modeling agencies served as recruitment hubs for covert operations, and how philanthropies, universities, and scientific institutions were quietly infiltrated and repurposed. They would see how tech giants intersected with Epstein's biogenetic experiments, how political dynasties relied on the same clandestine channels, and how foreign governments used Epstein as a diplomatic asset. That's what you're going to learn in that Substack. And it's so important because everything that we just talked about with Soros, Venezuela, China, Hamas, Houthis, it's the same system. In other words, Soros was that same point guy that Epstein was. He was the moneymaker behind the scenes that took illegal, illicit money for intelligence organizations, primarily MI6, German intelligence post-World War II, that integrated into the OSS and CIA and moved it around, that funded their operations, that ensured that they would always retain and maintain power, that manipulated markets and governments to their own power and benefit. Bigger than we could ever imagine. All right. There's more here. I wanted to get into the military orders part. I think that we'll probably do that tomorrow. I think there's one or two things I wanted to touch on just real quick. Let me go into here real quick and check this out. Okay, let's do this one. So we're going to pay a quick bill real quick, the last one of the night, and then we'll get into the last stories. New research says that over 80% of Americans and 3/4 of Trump's voters support America First international assistance. According to a new poll by McLaughlin, one of President Trump's pollsters, Americans across the country support assistance designed to root out fraud, tamp down terrorism, secure our borders, support our small farmers, and feed starving children. And over 70% of Trump's voters believe that President Trump should win the Nobel Peace Prize if he creates a world where almost no child starves to death. This is the type of assistance we can get behind. Many people will try to stop him, but only President Trump can turn America First international assistance into a reality. If he does it, a Nobel Peace Prize is in his future. If you want to learn more about America First international assistance, the links are right there on my Rumble channel. You can find them in the description. You can find them in the chat. And then if you scroll back into this part, you'll find the QR code directly there on the show platform. Let's go over this part. All right, I'm going to go over this part. I think tonight's show is Global 4D Chess Game, and I'm showing you exactly how Donald Trump is playing 4D chess. So understand why this is kayfabe. Marjorie Taylor Greene, in her multi-page resignation, there is no plan to save the world or insane 4D chess game being played. Remember those words real quick. Because General Flynn, responding to, at what point do you stop saying he's keeping his enemies close, bruh, and admit your enemies are just all his buddies? General Flynn says, there is no 5D chess being played. Everyone needs to understand that. What you see is what you get. And I say there is no 5D chess. It's just 4D chess and 5GW. And then Drago says, no 5D, just 4D. What does Trump say about this?
The other leaders, they think that we're playing because they respected us for so many years, but especially in the last 4 or 5 years prior to this disaster happening, and they think we're playing 4-dimensional chess. Does that make sense? They say, there's no way this is happening. That country is too smart. It's 4-dimensional. President Xi probably has a meeting and he says, wait a minute, this can't be possible. They're too smart for that. It's 4-dimensional chess. Does anyone know what that means? I know what that means. The other leaders, they think that.
Does anybody know what that means? I know what that means. President Trump has already told us what he's doing, what he's playing. Flynn is playing a role. You notice how Flynn didn't say that there's no 4D chess. He says there's no 5D chess. Important declaration, because there is 4D chess. When you boil it down, 2D chess, that's what the public sees. 3D is what the system is doing. 4D chess is how power factions negotiate and counterbalance. 4D chess in politics is the art of navigating and reshaping ideological factions to accumulate power, influence, and future leverage. Not just winning today, but engineering the board for tomorrow. That's what Trump has done. Every move that we've seen so far has been an initiation leading up to the point that we are at right now. Are we about to see bomber strikes in Venezuela? I think you could probably see them any day now. Do I think he's going to do it any day now? No, I don't. Why? Because he wants them to sweat. He wants Maduro to leave the country. He wants Maduro to abandon the country. He wants all of the capos of the cartels de Sol to get scared and leave. This is psychological war more than it is kinetic warfare of what's going on with Venezuela. There's a reason why they keep on flying the B-52 bomber on the coastline of Venezuela. It's military superiority in that area, and Venezuela is defenseless against it. And all of that $2.7 trillion sitting over there in Venezuela can do nothing. It can't get China motivated to go out there and help it. It can't get Russia motivated to go out there and help them. They're defenseless, and they're about to lose massive power, which is going to dismantle that whole infrastructure that we just talked about, plus also bring about the investigative arms, the grand juries that will investigate the money movements to associate Muslim Brotherhood, CARE, George Soros, Lord Malik Brown, Dominion, Smartmatic, Venezuela, Hamas, Houthis, all of this integrated together into the stolen election of 2020, the potential stolen election of 2024, the continuing grand conspiracy into the 2026 election, all the way back to 2008, all the crimes of the Obama administration, the funding through the Obama administration of George Soros, the embezzlement of USAID money directly to George Soros to fund radical ideological groups. It's all connected. And this is what we are witnessing unfold right before our eyes. Fuck, I hope I'm right. I think I'm right. I'm pretty sure I'm right. A few things. If you haven't watched Art of Disclosure, I'm going to talk more about this tomorrow. If you have not watched Art of it's not the Art of the, is it called the Art of Disclosure? There's a new movie out, and it's the Art of Disclosure or something of that nature. It's on Amazon Prime. It's a good documentary, but it shows something much deeper, that there are people behind the scenes that are trying to get this technology out. And they want it out for a reason, because they don't have access to it. Just imagine if the Obama administration, if Clinton, or if the Bushes had access to exotic alien technology that was in special SAP programs. We would already be enslaved. We're not. That tells you that good guys hold that information. I believe Donald Trump will release the existence of extraterrestrials this year. I think that it'll be probably right before the midterm elections. That's my thoughts. A shout out to Michael Toolmaker. I know that I saw yours come in. Michael Toolmaker for the $55 Rumble rant. Thank you, buddy. And the subscriptions that you donated. Thank you so much, my friend. I appreciate more than you know. And everybody out there who donated from the rants. We have 2F17 and 2F17 with a $10 Rumble rant, I believe. So I'm trying to do it on my phone, and every time I get to it, it just automatically goes to the bottom because the chats are updating. There's no way to pause the chats. So I got to see it because it doesn't show up anymore on my Rumble stream. There it was. So 1 second, I'll have this. Husband is home on vacation. He busted a gut, Josh, when you said, woohoo, Trump won. Let's sit back and eat popcorn. I appreciate 2F17. Thank you so much for that Rumble rant. And a micro toolmaker. So thank you so much on Rumble. You guys are awesome, amazing. Love you. You guys keep this alive. If you can support me on Substack, redpillproject.substack.com. One of the best ways to support us over there is to go get a subscription on any of our premium membership platforms. Yes, that Epstein blog is posted on Substack right now. It will be posted on all the other platforms. I've been crazy busy, so I'll get that posted on X and so forth. So that will be coming for all of you guys. But if you can go out there, subscribe to Substack, it's definitely appreciated. You get into those Q&As on Thursday nights, which this week's Q&A will not be on Thursday night. Maybe we'll do it Wednesday. Maybe we'll do it Friday. I don't know. I'll let you know. I just got to look at my schedule. But guys, redpillproject.substack.com. Appreciate you guys over there. If you want all of our links, ways to support us, whether it's PayPal, whether it's Cash App, cryptocurrency, we definitely take crypto, Bitcoin, redpills.tv. All the links are over there. You can find them through our navigational bar. Appreciate you guys more than you could ever imagine. Much love, respect. God bless. Take care. Have a great night. I'm going to leave you with this one, which you can find at redpillsmusic.com. redpillsmusic.com. Much love, respect. God bless. Take care. Have a great night. See you tomorrow.
There was a time when our children stood tall, hand on their hearts, one voice for all. There was a time when honor had weight, when the flag was a symbol, not a debate. There was a time when our history was known, with pride in the roots that made us all. we can't ignore. Through the smoke, a voice still calls. We the people will not fall. There was a time, but the time isn't near. The great awakening is here. Dark to light, veil undone. Patriots rise, we are one. Land of the free, home of the brave. No more silence, no more slaves. Answer the call, take back the fight. Children of freedom, stand for the light. There was a time when truth was clear, when the media served, not ruled by fear. There was a time when leaders stood fast, guarding the people, defending the past. Now corruption wears a crown, lies are fed to tear us down. But Q said watch, and Q said see. The silent war will set us free. From the front lines, soldiers stare, wondering if we're still there. Their blood, their hope, their sacrifice will not be sold for a last prize. There was a time, but the time isn't near. The great awakening is here. Dark to light, the veil undone. Patriots rise, we are one. Land of the free, home of the brave. No more silence, no more slaves. Answer the call, take back the fight. Children of freedom, stand for the light. Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. It must be fought for, protected, and handed on. Or we will spend our sunset years telling our children what it was once like in the United States where men were free. There was a time, the time is near. The great awakening is here. Dark to light, veil undone. Patriots rise, we are one. Land of the free, home of the brave. No more silence, no more slaves. Answer the call, take back the fight. Children of freedom, stand for the light. There was a time, there was a time. Now is the time. Do it, Q.
I don't have to tell you things are bad. Everybody knows things are bad. The air is unfit to breathe, and our food is unfit to eat. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation. I want you to get mad.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
People should not be afraid of their governments. Governments should be afraid of their people.
The more you fuck around, the more you're going to find out.
These people are still a part of that system, and that makes them our enemy.
We accept the reality of the world with which we're presented. It's as simple as that.
I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, "I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore!"